Hello everyone. So I have a new book review for you today, and it is on Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children by Ransom. And I realize now that in all of my other videos I was pronouncing Peregrine wrong. I was saying Peregrine. I wish it was Peregrine, but it's Peregrine. Don't know why there's an E at the end of Peregrine. So let's talk about what Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children is all about. Growing up as a little boy, Jacob Portman's grandfather always told him these stories about a mysterious island and a house that held children with peculiar abilities, and they were all watched over by an old bird. He has these strange photographs, and Jacob believed these stories. Sometimes he had his doubts and he wasn't really sure about them, and then one day his grandfather calls him. Jacob has been receiving these apocalyptic phone calls from his grandfather quite often now, so this time he goes to check on it with his friend, and they get to his house and they discover his grandfather's body dead, and Jacob shines a flashlight around and he sees a monster with tentacles coming out of his mouth. It's this sexy guy right here. So Jacob kind of goes insane, and he is convinced by a psychiatrist that he has a certain stress disorder and that he imagined this monster. And so Jacob's birthday comes along, and he finds more photographs of these peculiar children that his grandfather always told him about. He still doubts that they could be real at all. He comes up with an explanation for all of them, how they could be photoshopped, pasted on strings, wires, and all that. But he goes to an island to check out this mysterious house in Wales. Him and his father go to the island for 3 weeks. They go on a trip for 3 weeks so his father can bird watch, because he's writing a book about birds. And Jacob can explore around the island and try to find stuff out about this house. And his father is hoping that maybe after he lets Jacob do this, that all of this craziness will stop and Jacob will let it go and accept that none of this is real. So they get to the island and Jacob starts looking around, and he goes through the woods to the house, and he discovers some pretty peculiar things. Now, I don't want to give anything else away because that is pretty much the first 100 pages. The book starts off kind of slow, but that is necessary because we learn about Jacob's past. Even though we don't get a whole lot of backstory, it's really not needed. Before he actually goes to the island, stuff has to happen before, and we find out about all these pictures that his grandfather has, and the island that he talks about, and all of his doubts, and growing up as a child, Jacob's basic outline of his life. So let's talk about the characters. Of course, we have Jacob, who's kind of your average, teenage guy. He's 16, works at his family-owned store, trying to be convinced that he is a lunatic, pretty much. Again, we don't have a whole lot of backstory to Jacob, for the most part, but throughout the 348 pages of the book, his character develops a whole lot, from all of his doubts to big revelations about himself and his grandfather's past and all his family history, who he is. It just all comes together. We have Jacob's father, who's pretty much a minor character, but who is always there. Jacob's always worrying about him. His father is trying to be an author, but he gives up on all of his projects really quickly. Once anything starts to bring him down, he just lets himself drop it and tries to come up with a new one. His father really isn't a very big character. He's just pretty much the basic father figure. Where were you? Where are you going? Be responsible. Have fun. You're insane. Then we have Emma, which I'm going to admit I found her and Jacob's relationship disgusting. Emma is his grandfather's old girlfriend, and yeah, no. She is 88 years old, stop kissing her. Yeah. Other than that, she was a very good character, well written, very brave, strong female lead. The characters were a little hard to keep track of when the author was talking about all of these names. I thought it was kind of hard to keep track of who could do what and who they were. There were some characters who, I knew, but sometimes I had to go back in the book and look up who they were. So the pacing and the writing style. This book was kind of slower paced, which it's not an entirely bad thing, but at times it got a little slow, mostly just the beginning, the first 80 pages or so. But then it gets good, and it's a good thing that it went slow because there's a lot of stuff that happens that you need to know about. It was fast enough so it wasn't boring when it got too slow, but it was slow enough so you could appreciate what was going on for each individual scene. I really liked the writing style. There are old photographs throughout this book, and they show you some of the photographs that Jacob finds or some things that are happening, and I think they're not full photographs. I really just paintings for the most part. So that was really cool. This book had a really spooky suspense element to it. It went kind of slower so that you were on the edge of your seat wanting to read the next chapter. There are only 11 chapters in this book, so the chapters are pretty long, but they're split up in the middle. And the full page pictures probably have something to do with the length of the chapters. On the cover is Olive. Not sure why Olive is on the cover of everyone else, because she's not that big of a character. Of all the Peculiar Children, she was actually probably my favorite, but she doesn't necessarily stand out, so I don't know why she was on the cover, but that's just me thinking. Overall, this book was written amazingly. Spooky, suspenseful, awesome. The pictures and the words work together brilliantly, and the characters, the way they all grow and develop, and we discover all these things that have happened and what the truth is about these people is just unraveled so greatly, and this is a great first book for Ransom Riggs, and I cannot wait for the sequel that comes out in spring 2013. So with that being said, guys, I'm going to give Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children by Ransom Riggs a 4 out of 5 stars. Amazing book. You should check it out. I probably wouldn't have read this for a really long time if my friend had not been, so persistent. So thank you, friend, and you can stop asking me to read it now. And maybe you can read the books that I told you should read. But I'm glad I read it when I did, because it's pretty freaking awesome. So read it. So that is my review of Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children by Ransom Riggs. 4 out of 5 stars. My next book review will be Witch and Wizard by James Patterson and Gabrielle Charbonnet. I will have a review up of this in about a week. I really wanted to catch up on the series before the fire in December. So thanks for watching. I'll see you later. Bye.